Okay, Espe, introduce us.
All right. Hello. That's Janox. I'm Espe. This is Jerry. We have a gaming podcast called Game Kast. We have weekly episodes, but this is a special event. We were asked to just cover Unwrap for 2 days and just invite people in here to have interesting talks about their profession and in gaming, which is why you're here.
Ah, wonderful. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's a lovely bus you got here.
Yeah, the mic needs to be in front of your mouth, though. I'm sorry. Jerry will fix that for you. But wonderful.
So if you can hear yourself properly, then you're all good.
Yeah, it has that radio vibe, and
Let's do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you a lower third. Can you introduce yourself? Oh, well, this is live, by the way. We were
We're
live
live
streaming.
on Twitch.
We have 2 angles. You see over there, that's the wide shot and the close, which still has the wrong lower third, but I'll fix that.
Nice.
So could you introduce yourself to the chat?
Of course. What up, chat? I'm Andrew. Nice to meet you, everybody. I've been making video games for, the last 15 years? It's scary to count. I try not to. But I worked on a ton of stuff, man. My first gig was at Wargaming as one of the first 3D artists on World of Tanks.
Tanks.
World of Tanks.
Yeah.
One of the biggest games in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The biggest Flemish streamer that we have only plays World of Tanks.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm sorry.
Um,
And then, from there, jumped around, worked across a bunch of different studios. The last one before starting my own company was Naughty Dog, where I see Drake right there on the table. Yes, whereas the technical art director.
Technical art director, yeah.
Do the thing, Janox.
Oh, nice. Fuck yeah, Last of Us. There we go.
There we go.
Did you work on Last of Us too?
Last of Us 2, yeah.
Are you responsible for my favorite thing that made me drop my jaw when I was playing the game? Are you responsible for the rope?
I knew you were gonna say no. Actually, we had I think he's still there, a physics engineer called Yaroslav, he's been really dope at that. He's literally been working on like ropes.
We need to
That
get
rope,
that one.
like I'm a developer myself as well. When I found that rope, I threw it everywhere. I threw it against everything, and every time it fell, I'm like, "This is the real deal.
Yes.
This is so perfect. It's an amazing piece of work."
Hey man, shout out to Yaroslav Sinetsky, I believe his last name. Look him up. He's really dope. But he worked on the winch for Uncharted 4 as well. I
Yes,
don't know if
of
you
course.
remember wrapping it around
That's
the
the
tree.
first part. We were like, the winch, it's so good. And
Dude,
then we
have you
played
seen
the
the
rope. But yeah, the one detail about the winch, when he passes it through from one hand, oh man.
When you have to go up the ramp the
Oh,
first time with the tree. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, we're all massive Naughty Dog stands.
Fans.
Stands. We're stands.
Who do we stand? The Naughty and the Dog?
No. Like we like
Ourselves.
Yeah. Let's say. But yeah, it's they're so much ahead of the game. I feel when it comes to stuff like that, which is stupid. Let's call them stupid details, but they change the game in so many ways that people might not really comprehend, and that's why I think as technical, it's very important. Like those small details maybe gets lost on just regular players, but
100%. I think so much of gaming has been accepting certain tropes, and we sort of being accustomed to how games work. Like I remember way back when, 15 years ago, I was playing GTA and I was like showing it to my girlfriend and I was like, hey, look, this game. And then I was running away from cops and I jumped on their car and just kind of kept running. And she was like, what are you doing? They're going to be so pissed now.
That's kind of the point.
No, but I knew that obviously that does nothing because it's not a system that is in the game.
Yeah.
But the more we can do to kind of break that, where every time you think this is not a system in the game and then the game reacts, you're holy shit. I cannot just use my whatever sort of optimized knowledge. I have to think about it as the real world. That's when it becomes really interesting.
I think for a lot of players where they always think about this is Batman Arkham City with the fight with Mr. Freeze, which is kind of like the Metal Gear Solid thing where every time you do something, he prevents you from doing it again, and he says this is not going to work anymore. And it's like you as a player has to be like, oh, I have to change my way of thinking. And then especially if you play it then in a new game plus, he remembers what you did in your previous playthrough as well. And it's stuff like that. I think that always just makes it. That's why gaming as a genre is unlike anything else. It's can have these things that are just amazing, I think.
fully agree. There's so much. I mean, to me, the reason I love it so much is that just the idea of responsibility, the fact that I can make a choice and then feel a certain way about it is not something I can do in any other medium. And so, since we brought up, Metal Gear, Snake Eater, the third one, where you have to defeat the big boss, but then at the end, he's like plays the nice cutscene, and then it's just like the game stops, and just like the little X's on the screen is like press X to kill the big boss. And he like makes you press it because there's narrative consequences for that, and he wants you to feel responsible, and like that is brilliant because that fucker, pardon my French,
No, please do.
You can swear as much as you want.
made me press that button. I feel so much worse at the end. It wasn't a cutscene. It wasn't like I did it. That's so good, and so that is what I love.
Have you played It Takes Two?
Not yet.
There's this one scene in it, and
I know.
you have to play it with your partner, and we were both like, we're not gonna do this. This is
Yeah.
hard. And the
We
game just
paused it.
doesn't advance, and we're like, no. This is not, and that emotion. That
I played it
one.
with my sister, and we just paused it, and we're like, "The fuck are we gonna do, man?
Yeah,
We shouldn't be doing this." I felt so bad,
Yeah, we're not
laying
gonna
in bed at
spoil
night,
it.
like, "The fuck did I do, man?"
That one moment I will never forget.
Yeah.
And it's stuff-
animated. It's not even like
Photoreal,
it's insane. I love it. You really should play it. It's one of my top 10 games, I think,
Absolutely.
right now.
Yeah, especially to play with anyone, like a good friend or a partner. It's and especially if you think about like game development, that game, it makes you feel bad as a developer because you're like, at any point you think like, this has enough concept, this has enough gameplay. Oh, this is something new. There's something new.
Remember
Here's
this mechanic from 30 years ago?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, we have this new mechanic. You're only going to use it for 2 minutes in the game, and then we're going to give you a new mechanic. And it's like, this cannot be making any money. This must cost them like a
And they made it with a
money.
small team.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so more about you.
Yeah.
What exactly do you do?
These days, I run an AI company where we teach artificial intelligence how to build virtual worlds. So it works with artists and video game studios, helping them create, the games that you folks love to play. Unfortunately, I can't disclose any of the games,
Yeah.
but you've definitely played them. I can tell you that much. And so that is the exciting part. Is basically I spend my entire career from like I'm gonna make 3D environments to I'm gonna lead teams of artists that make 3D environments to
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
3D,
write code to sort of create procedural technology to like build biomes, and then from there to like okay, now I'm gonna create an AI that is going to learn from this 3D environments how to make more 3D environments. And so the problem has been always the same. It's like I'm just trying to build worlds, and then it's all of the different tools meant to empower artists and allow them to create more.
Yeah,
So
because-
creating worlds is the main.
Yeah, because making a game only gets more expensive.
Oh, dude, tell me about it. Yeah, Last of Us 2 was it $220 million for production?
Yeah, the Sharpie revealed that.
Exactly.
You can say that.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, no shame.
Yeah.
GTA 5 was also 250, right? And
GTA 5 was, I think, even higher,
I
wasn't
think
it?
it
Like
was more.
500.
yeah, but 250 was marketing.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it.
So
it's
marketing
like-
usually
yeah,
doubles
yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
if you're Call of Duty, it's probably triples it.
Well, but you only have like 1 million production costs because you just copy it. Right?
You know what? That is the scary part because they get more and more expensive to produce each time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the amount of fidelity goes up, but the money they make is not going up.
Yeah.
It's like
Hmm.
either stays the same.
Well, Warzone
Now,
made them a couple of
Warzone,
billion
yeah. No.
because of the skins. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what makes them good money,
yes.
not the actual game.
Not
I know.
not
And
the linear part.
You say like you use AI, but in many ways, what most people do not know, like let's say like a game like Valhalla or like Assassin's Creed Origins, there's already a lot of generation in that. It's not like a purely 100%
absolutely.
handcrafted world, right?
Yeah. Most of the biomes are procedurally generated, and the difference between proceduralism and AI, right, is that proceduralism implies that there's engineers that are going to write some code that is going to know how to place your trees and your rocks on your terrain. And then the trick with that is that it is not very transparent to the artist, and changes are not really allowed because if the algorithm kind of plays something, if I'm as an artist want to come in and say, okay, I'm going to move this tree to the right, next time it regenerates, all of my changes are lost.
Yeah.
And so I can't manually edit as an artist. And if I want to change something about the logic, I have to go find an engineer and be like, hey, here's what I need. And you try to explain this artistic concept to somebody that, operates in ones and zeros. And it gets very complicated. And with AI, the beauty of it is that every artist becomes the author of their own automation through executing on their core competence of making art. Meaning you build a patch of forest, you say, cool, memorize this, now build me more like that. And then if I want to change something about it, I'm like, oh, I don't want any stumps in there. I go into my little sort of training level, just remove the stumps, like readjust it and rememorize and say, cool, go generate again. And now every artist is just like training their own automation.
Yeah, because that's a big difference with what you do. It's not like Mid-Journey or whatever, where they basically have an entire database of the internet and generate from that, and we get into the copyright issues of it.
Yep.
Here it is, you actually train your own AI, right?
Precisely. Yes, the copyright thing is
Yeah.
not great at all for the 2D stuff.
We're probably gonna. There's a panel on AI copyright today, right?
Yeah, here. Yeah,
there is one here.
Nice.
Someone's coming to talk about it soon. So
Yeah.
I think it's super interesting because it's the main topic about AI,
Yeah,
right?
because I think a lot of people are like now with AI,
with
it's
the
like,
codes.
oh, it's all stealing and it's all copyright, but it's actually not, right?
It depends on how you implement it. Something that I really like about how we do it at Promethean that kind of encourages me is that when people train Promethean working at their studios, you know, you're making whatever your God of War game or something, and then you're like, here's how we build this part of Valhalla, right? And I, as an artist, train it. The company gets to keep what I've trained, obviously, because they own the assets that I make.
Yeah.
But the model also can differentiate what I, as an artist, taught it. And what that allows us to do on a technical level is that every artist can take their own model that they've trained with their choices from job to job throughout the entire career. So you, as an artist, are training an AI assistant that knows of all of your creative choices over time, and you bring it back to your next job, and you're already like, you know, starting at 2x, 3x, 4x
You're basically
performance.
raising a child and making it work for you.
Exactly. But you know what's interesting? We've done that before, right? 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we were like, what do you mean we're going to record musicians play? Like, that means no musicians are ever going to play live music again. Why would, you know, they're all going to be out of jobs.
Yeah.
And then we're like, wait, holy shit. So many more people can experience music because we can record it and have it be reproduced without the musician having to play. This is essentially the same process. And if we do our job right, you know, 10 years from now, I can, as an artist, having had a illustrious career in the industry, I can just retire and rent out my AI brain and just get paid for it working while I chill on the beach.
So the a little bit of business sided stuff, like say I'm Rockstar or whatever, and I want to buy your AI. Won't I just buy the IP in the to your
Creative style.
yeah, because that's how we as programmers work as well, is they buy the property that we create.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's
So
say
isn't that the same in the contracts for you? So you can't actually reuse it in another.
That varies. We have an option for people to pay extra to not participate in the global training.
Okay.
But also something that's very important to us is we build our technology in a way that makes it impossible for anybody to ever recreate your intellectual property.
Yeah.
And so there's just a lot of technical research that went into that, where we can basically safely train a model that learns from everybody while also making it very safe. And we also put additional, you know, pieces of sort of, I guess, precautions in place where like none of that data gets merged into the global data set until the game ships, for example. Because once the game shipped, technically the knowledge of how you composed your world, it's all there. Like when I play the game, I'm looking at it. It's public domain in that sense.
Yeah.
And so it's just a matter of like, when it gets added essentially.
Yeah. But let's call it more for speaking term. Like let's make it more comprehensible for people maybe not into game development. Let's say you're Neil Druckmann and you use your tool, but you're writing a script with it. Basically, you could hire the Neil Druckmann AI to write you a game.
Yeah.
But you don't have without
Neil
his
Druckmann.
consent. You don't have Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
Like people can buy your AI or use your service, but they don't get the Neil
100%.
Druckmann version of it, right?
100%.
So the artist still controls
their own style.
what their style is that they have created with your tool.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's super good. It's awesome.
Thank you. We try. A lot of thought went into that, man. But you know, all of it just because it's so necessary. Like a lot of my job has been, you know, trying to help artists run an art team, and then you ship a game. It does great, makes a lot of money. But at the end of the day, you know, you get people take you into a room and be like, hey, I need to quit this job because I will not have a family if I keep doing this career. Like, this is killing me.
Yeah.
And once you do that once or twice and you realize that this is the best we can do for literally the best artists on the planet, it starts to weigh on you. It's like, no, this is fucked up. We should be doing so much better by all of these creative people and not just, you know, throwing more money at the problem, throwing more people at the problem, but rather trying to bring it back. How do I get that creative ownership? How do I get that, you know, like 50 of us made a game, and it's like, it blows my mind that there's like 115 people at Sucker Punch, for example, and they made Ghost of Tsushima with like that amount of people.
Yeah,
They
Such a beautiful game.
they shipped the first Infamous with like 8 people on the environment team, and I was like, are you kidding me? Yes. And
Holy!
and
They
so-
made a completely sandbox game
with
environment with 8 people,
eight artists, yeah.
and it looked that good.
Exactly.
Holy shit.
And
Wow.
so, there's like different approaches and studios do it differently, but the trend is towards, like 5, 6, 700 person teams and not the other way around. And that is scary. And if you plot the cost,
Yeah.
it took like $1 million or $2 million on PlayStation 1 and then like 10, 20 on PlayStation 2 and then it's like 30, 50 on PlayStation 4, and then by the end of it, we were at like 200 already. So the curve is exponential, and if you
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
projecting, it's like
But it's
And the more people doesn't necessarily mean faster production. It actually
No.
slows down at
exactly
that point, right?
because
it's also like we expect too much as gamers, right?
that's a good question. I disagree in a sense that it's not even the gamers' expectations, but the developers. I want to put as much shit as possible into the game. It's like I want to show people how it's done.
Yeah.
I want to sit there and have Drake's chest hair blow in the wind because it's gonna be dope.
But it's usually like, I'll say within development, you're like, you run into a problem and you don't, let's say you're 80% ready in development and you need to find the hack to kind of make it work, let's say. We've all been there. And then the next project, you're going to be like, this is one of the prime focus I want to have because I want to have the proper fix now, right? That's also
That never
part-
happens.
Yeah.
As in, like, I want to, and then the list just keeps growing. And that was the sad realization where I was like, oh, literally when I sort of put in my resignation notice at Naughty Dog, I was like, hey, I think I know how to fix game development. And, Evan was like, cool. And then I was like, I don't think I can do it here. And he was like, oh. But the problem is that, for example, my skills as a technical art director, right? They're always a lot more valuable in me getting a product out the door. Because that is what's going to, make the next $1 billion for Sony. And so if I'm saying, wait, we need to pause and like build something for the next 10 years, there's like no
They're
room
never
because
gonna
the
give
game
up,
always
yeah.
takes priority, and it makes sense because you're a game studio and you're a business, and it's like towards the end of production especially, it's whatever it takes. And then at the beginning of production, there's probably another, million things to consider. And so it's just not easy, not trivial. And unfortunately, like the blend of sort of technical artistic skill set is so rare in the industry that, there's like 15 people that know how to solve these problems like on a fundamental level. And all of them are also very
Wrapped
needed to just ship a game.
Yeah, because the production of Last of Us Part 2 was a very long and arduous one.
Oh,
from
dude.
what has been
Yeah,
publicly kind of...
It's been like 7 years or something.
Yeah.
You were
Probably
there
more.
until the end, or
No, I left before. So it was in development when I started at Naughty Dog, and it was still in development when I left.
Oh,
And at that
wow.
time, we made Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy.
Lost Legacy was so good.
Thank you.
So let's say I open Uncharted 4 or
Mhm.
Lost Legacy. What can I encounter what are the parts of that game what you're like super proud of?
That's a good one. Honestly, there are different aspects of it. I think the thing that I love most is just the commitment to like core artistic disciplines within both, meaning everything reinforces the story, the color choices, the shape, language, the materials. Like nothing is accidental, and everything is. Our director Eric Pangelina, and he did a talk at the Game Developers Conference about sort of the cinematics of Uncharted 4, and literally so much of it is like, it's a confrontation, Drake and Elena in the hotel when they like
Yeah.
she catches them in Madagascar, and then it's like behind. Whatever, Elena, there's going to be a circular frame because she's supposed to be like softer and more feminine. Behind Drake, there's like a square frame because he's an idiot. And so it's, it's like,
Oh yeah.
He's an idiot.
but it's like just the amount of tiny ass detail that we would consider to just like what color, what shape, everywhere behind everything. I love that. And the fact that we got to like take it a little bit to the extremes in Lost Legacy was very exciting to me because, like in 4 we did Libertalia that was a little bit like larger than life and
Yeah.
had the architecture that was like very
with
grand.
My favorite Easter egg with Monkey Island, but hey.
Yeah, Skybrush, that was dope. But otherwise it was pretty grounded. Like we took away that Last of Us experience, and Uncharted 4 stayed pretty grounded. But then when we went into Lost Legacy, we're like, how about there's 2 giant elephant statues that you climb, and they're also a waterfall, and then you climb inside of it, and there's another 2 giant statues that are fighting each other. And we would just see how much we can like one up these crazy ideas, and it's like, and we would get like piece of concept art, and it's like, this kind of looks like Final Fantasy. fuck yeah, let's go. You know, but it's just, like that was really exciting too. We're like, okay, we've done it grounded. We like have this commitment and passion around like the artistic fundamentals, and then like blowing it up larger than life in some instances. Was
and
just
we
very exciting.
completely accept that. And then you look at the Uncharted movie and you're like, flying pirate ships. Now that's
a little too much.
That's a little too much. Giant elephant statues. I'm still on board. I can still go with this.
In Uncharted 4, there's a scene with Nathan and Elena where they just drive in silence, and the music just starts getting louder, and you're just driving there feeling bad for everything you've done in the game. That's my favorite, probably my favorite fucking part in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is amazing, but that part just hit very, very well.
That's Naughty Dog for you. Think there's going to be an Uncharted 5?
I hope so. Let's
Yeah.
put it that way.
Right.
There's usually, these games take a long time
Yeah.
to make. And there's
Yeah.
plenty of people that worked on them for a while. And so I get it when people are tired and are like, I just want to make something new. And, whatever that new might be, I'm sure is going to be wonderful.
yeah.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
We're super into Naughty Dog stuff, so
Yeah.
we'll take whatever. I mean, please announce something.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I've been out of it long enough that I just get to enjoy it as a fan as well.
Yeah,
I do
I
hear
understand.
hear the rumblings of whatever's happening. It's always really exciting. And like different people get like brought in on the team that I know from the industry, and I just go like, oh fuck yeah, these people's creativity with the
Please don't do this to me. It's gonna cost me like 20 grand again.
Yeah, he
there's,
has everything.
Genox has probably almost complete collection of everything from The Last of Us. Games, figurines, the music, everything that's been
Clothes.
officially released. So if there's a different cover variant in Italy, he will buy that too.
oh
How many times do you have the game The Last of Us 1?
15 plus, I guess. No idea. No idea.
well, thank
Same
you
for The Last of
supporting.
Us Part 2. I think I have it like 20 plus times.
Nice.
American, European versions, Japanese, Chinese. There's a rare Chinese version that I don't have from The Last of Us Part 1. I've only seen it twice ever, so it's hard to get my hands on.
Yeah.
But that's how how much I appreciate Naughty Dog on what they do on the emotional aspect mostly, because people always think it's like, is it that good of a game? It's like, yeah, the game is fine, but it's the story, and that's what gets me, and that's what I miss in a lot of new gen games, except maybe Santa Monica, that hit me quite hard. But for the rest, I don't know. There's not a lot of stories that can captivate me as much.
Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, it gets interrupted a lot, but the story, if you just paste it after, that's a decision you have to make with
For
games.
yourself,
It's like you have the story, but you also have the gameplay. And the Naughty Dog games are very story heavy and story based and very linear. But then, like the Horizon games are open world, and you can just go and have fun. And for hours, and then kind of forget what was happening. So I think that's why the story. I think the story is on par with the big names, but it's just interrupted, which is why it doesn't hit as hard.
Jason is screwing with us.
I think what it bothers me too, in a sense that like I'm all about the story, and I would want more story at all times. And when gameplay gets in the way of story, it like genuinely upsets me. Like, no, isn't like, I remember playing the Spider-Man game, and that section where Miles' dad dies, and you have to go through this whole thing with like the explosion. It was awesome. And then the moment that ends, they're like, "Okay, there's no missions for you. Go catch 9 pigeons." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
I had that with
That's the
Cyberpunk.
basing with open world games. It's usually all over the place because, as a player, you cannot say, now go through that door. No, there are 5,000 doors in the open world they can go through.
Yeah, and so, but the problem with that, and I understand, the problem is actually because of how expensive it is, right?
Yeah.
If the game costs so much money to make, the story is the most expensive part because of the animation.
Yeah.
Animation takes forever. And so we need to find ways to make it cheaper, which means we need more systemic gameplay. The more systemic gameplay, the less directed the story. And so the desire to go open world in so many ways can also mean saving money. And then that means that we're compromising on narrative,
I never thought
unfortunately.
about it like that.
Yeah. Because shifting from, of course, making games primarily to now making tools for games.
Yep.
How has your day-to-day work changed?
That's a great question. There's definitely more of running the art team back at Naughty Dog, like a lot of art reviews, a lot of scheduling the art team, things like that I have to do less. We have a much smaller art team at Promethean. But I think fundamentally the thing that excites me about what we do, right, is we have to answer questions that no one has ever had to ask before. You know, we're working on technology, solving problems, you know, finding answers to the questions that have never even been considered. And that is fascinating, and that affects the creative process, and that kind of, you know, we can outline the future, we can build a prototype of it and say, cool, now like let's productize it. And it's a lot of work, it takes a lot of figuring out, but it's very exciting. You get to learn from a lot of people because, you know, we work with gaming studios, but, you know, we would also work with movie companies and, you know, some of the biggest animation houses. Or we had a contract for a while with IKEA, of all people, because they make virtual environments, and they make more virtual environments than anybody in the world.
Yeah, their entire catalog is completely
fully digital.
It's fully digital.
Exactly.
It's not a single photo in an IKEA catalog.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy if you think about it.
I'm just imagining the guy like when feeding an AI model with the IKEA cupboards and beds, and then make me a store.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fun.
I don't know how much time. Oh, no.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to say like I'm also a technical artist in most of my work, but also like more than that, of course. But I feel like what you said earlier is like a key that I always see with technical artists, because we had one yesterday as well. Problem solving. I feel like technical artists seem to be like the problem solvers within the development studio. Like trying to bridge the gap, of course, between the art and the code, but also finding solutions with pipelines and everything, right?
I feel like something that is almost like a superpower for us at Promethean in so many ways, right, is... and one of the reasons I really felt like that it was important to do it is that there's all of these problems that are sort of being solved in academia. People are writing white papers about how to make AIs that do A, B, and C, but there's a lot of awareness of how the world works and very little awareness about how the creative process works or how the artist works. And so I feel like our superpower was just knowing how much is enough to be useful. And so there's all of these misconceptions and people applying their time in their own places, and we can do the simplest thing but know exactly that it is enough because we have that expertise. We've made some games, we know how it's done, and that is exciting to me because something that I love about AI is that it forces you to look at people a little differently, because you're essentially sort of deconstructing a machine in your head that has to do with sort of rewards maximizations, which is basically what humans are. Like, all of us have a rewards function internally that we're trying to maximize, and they all vary in different times. And for engineers, something that happens a lot is the rewards function is to be the smartest guy in the room and make sure that the other guys think you're very smart. That is sort of the core concept of like why people get into it. And then having to kind of work through that to a point of, I just want to be useful, a lot of the time implies actually things need to be a million times simpler. This code has to be as straightforward as possible. No one from the other engineers is going to think I'm smart because it's easy to write, but people using it are going to get that much more done.
Yeah.
And so like that perspective, that mentality of like, oh, I am, I'm here to be useful. I'm not here to derive some kind of sense of self-worth from anything other than how much I'm helping people, is the exciting thing.
All right. One quick question. What games from your youth has inspired you to become who you are?
Oh, dude. Final Fantasy X, right here.
Right.
I thought I recognized it. I was thinking like, that seems like it's from a game.
It's PS2, right?
Yeah, PS2.
That's PS2. Final Fantasy X was a big one.
I'll be honest, that was the first game that made me cry.
Same. No, you know what? Metal Gear 1. The Sniper Wolf duel.
Oh, yeah.
When she's like laying in the snow, like asking you to hand her rifle as she's dying. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? PS1, I was crying.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
And
both of them.
Both of them. And then, Metal Gear 3. Like, between Metal Gear Solid 3 and Final Fantasy X, I was like, okay, I can't do anything else with my life now. Like, you got me.
Yeah.
You're going to play the remake?
I don't know if we trust Konami much these days, but we'll see how it goes.
Do we know who the studio was? Was it already revealed? I don't remember.
They've revealed the trailer, and
yeah,
it's like the jungle. But if they're gonna change a lot of the gameplay, then I don't know who there's.
And they're not bringing in
I think
any.
they didn't.
Yeah,
They weren't gonna change anything.
No, they're not gonna bring in any of the original voice actors.
Yeah.
They're just gonna use all the old recordings, of course. But I don't know, for a remake, it's always like.
But like, are they gonna keep the same sort of like top-down gameplay? And
hope so.
It's a little dated.
I hope so for fans. Well,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the
nostalgia.
game. They
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
have to bring in some elements that they introduced into Metal Gear 4 and probably also from Death Stranding in terms of how the game handles.
Yeah, but see, Death Stranding is a whole other studio.
Yeah, of course,
Whole
I
other
know,
company.
but it built a little bit further on the equipment system that he developed with MGS5, of course. Yeah, so
Maybe they'll give it the Resident Evil treatment. Like it's the remake, but
I
it's
hope so.
not
Yeah,
nearly the same.
If they
game.
give it to Capcom to do it, I'll be like, yes.
Oh yeah, let's go.
yeah, Capcom.
I'll
they,
allow it.
Capcom hasn't done anything wrong in quite a long while.
they did like 10 years of doing everything wrong, and then they said, let's try this again, and then it was banger after banger. It's like Resident Evil 7. They haven't skipped a beat after that game.
Yep. Yeah,
It's an amazing studio.
Good job.
8 was...
Yeah.
What?
Never mind.
Do you still play games yourself?
I try to. There's not as much time, obviously.
Yeah.
There's very few games that I would like make time for. Usually it's like either, friends that worked on it or like the people using Promethean technology worked on it, like the teams that we work on, so that, I don't show up to their studio and like, hey, great game, and I've never played it. Like that sucks. So I do need to play it every once in a while. But yeah, otherwise, you're just like making room for like the new Final Fantasy or something. Where it's like, okay,
16 was
All
pretty
All right.
good.
We have one question that we always ask.
go ahead.
Let's say you have $1 billion. What game would you make?
What game would I make? I love that. There's this thing that I ask of people usually, like at game developer conferences a lot, in regards to the projects that they work on. And the question is, what experience from your life do you wish that other people could have that would make the world a better place?
I don't wish anyone the life I have.
Depression. No, hey, I understand that wholeheartedly, but that is where I feel like games are uniquely positioned.
Mm.
All of us have lived through something
Mhm.
that if anybody else can just walk a mile in our shoes, interactively go through that experience and try it, then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, fuck, it's so much harder to be a dick to other people because I can relate to what they're going through. And so one of the things that I made, and we did it at Promethean as a small side project, but it was very valuable to me. I'm originally from Belarus, born and raised, dictatorship country, a lot of bullshit going on. And yeah, we made a virtual reality experience that was based on a real life story of this 5-year-old girl that got hurt during a violent crackdown after the election where police were just indiscriminately attacking people in the street, and they would just smash their car into her parents' car without knowing that there's a 5-year-old in the car, and they dragged out the parents and beat the shit out of them without realizing there's a 5-year-old like bleeding out in the back seat from all the broken glass. And we were like, hey, what if that was just an interactive experience in VR and you could just sit through it and see what that's like? And then we just let people look at themselves in third person, right? Because this is not just for all of us to experience. It's for people that justify their behavior and think that they're doing something right, and getting to experience yourself in third person, to me, is extremely profound. Like some of the best uses of interactivity that I've heard of all places, was actually Walmart. Walmart does virtual reality training for their managers. And something that they do is, in virtual reality, you have to fire somebody. There's an exercise, and unbeknownst to you, you are being recorded. And so the next exercise is you have to sit there and watch yourself fire yourself and see what it's like to perceive yourself in third person.
Right, that makes so much sense now, right now.
Holy shit.
And I feel like that has such a tremendous potential as a game, as an experience, to teach us about ourselves and about other people and about kindness and about compassion and about using interactivity to be better humans. That's where I would put the $1 billion, is just collect these experiences and just keep making them.
Maybe that's like we were talking earlier about toxicity in games, and especially in online games. Also really benefited there, I think. Yeah. It's amazing.
That's
A lot to think about. I really need to think about it.
I think that's like the most insightful answer we've had to that question.
Well, thank you for asking.
It's amazing.
Now I'm just thinking of stories I want to tell.
Please do. Please. Invite me back next year. You're going to tell me how it went.
Yeah. Are there any games already in the market built with the AI?
There are.
Yeah.
There's definitely some. Once again, there's like not a lot we can talk about.
Yeah.
Hopefully by
Yeah.
the end of the year we can talk about
So
some.
where we can follow you, so we know what games will be released.
PrometheanAI.com. There's a lot of info, a lot of cool trailers of the stuff that we do. There's like cool virtual reality demos that we made, cool just artistic demos that we made. And then, social media around that. We're notoriously bad at keeping up with our social media. I don't like
Us
social
too.
media personally, and that
Yeah.
I feel like reflects on the company. And so one of these days, we're just going to hire somebody to do it full time, and then you're going to be much better informed. But in the meantime, I apologize. Please blame me for
No.
for lack of.
I have the same problem.
I think you're the better than any social media. Just you having talking here is better than any social media you can put out there.
Thank
so
you. I agree. Presence, and
human
connection, is
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You cannot put enthusiasm in 280 characters.
Build Stranger Things in 5 minutes. 15 minutes, sorry.
Yes.
Well, you got me there. I'm in. The logo on the back of her shirt, is that the one that's on your hand as well?
Yeah, that's the logo of
Oh.
Promethean.
Whoa!
that makes so much
Did
sense.
you have the tattoo first or the logo first?
The logo first, and then I
Yeah.
got the tattoo. But it's actually an old Belarusian symbol for fire,
Ah,
and so it just made sense. That's how we got our logo.
that's
Cool.
super cool.
Yeah, it works. Like whenever I'm in an investor meeting, people are like, "Oh, you're committed." I'm like, "Yeah."
It's not even that
Why
expensive.
fire?
Jesus.
Why?
Fire. So Promethean AI, right? It was a code name first, and then I was just too lazy to come up with a proper
Yeah.
name, so I kept it. But the idea is that in old Greek myth, Prometheus was the character that stole the fire from the gods and gave it to everybody.
Oh.
And so that's
He was the guy with the crow.
and then
eating out
he
his
got
guts, right?
like chained to a cliff, and then the crows would like peck at his liver.
Yeah.
So
And it
he
would
got
always grow
punished.
back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the punishment aside, the idea is, yes, can we like democratize creativity? Can we allow more people to tell their stories? Because for all intents and purposes, for all of the hardships, the people at Naughty Dog are in so many ways privileged to be able to express themselves creatively, because kids in Belarus or Pakistan or anywhere else in the world don't have access to even getting education to tell those stories. And so, I want to live in a world where everybody anywhere can tell a story as high quality as what we did at Naughty Dog, so that the stories on their own merit, rise to the surface rather than the budget and the access to capital and talent and all of these things.
Yeah, because as we said earlier, like making games has only gotten more expensive, but the other side of it is also that it's becoming more easy.
Yeah.
In a way, like stepping into it has been easier than ever. Every year it improves. So more people can tell their stories and have their unique way of storytelling because the tools are just making it more accessible.
100%. Raising the floor. That's what I keep talking about with technology. The technology is not about raising the bar. It's about raising the floor, which is what we're doing. Allowing more people to participate. There's still barrier to entry, meaning if I could tell an indie story at Last of Us quality, that would appeal to a lot more people, because the moment it's 3 pixels telling the same story,
Yeah.
it's harder. It's a barrier to entry for the general public. There's 5 billion people on the planet. It's probably not gonna experience it because of the fidelity level, and so we need to sort that out. We're working on it.
Yeah, some of the best stories in games come from indie studios who don't have the, like you say, the means to put it in a stylistic way as Naughty Dog does, of course, but that doesn't devalue the stories that they've
You don't have
told.
250 million? No, I understand.
Yeah. Don't you have phones?
And ouch.
Good one.
No, I thank you so much for giving us some of your time to talk about this and talk about your experiences.
pleasure.
It's
Thank you for
super
asking.
interesting. It's always great to talk to people from the industry, and thank you for creating wonderful games and wonderful tools.
Really, really thank you.
My pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for keeping this
And
podcast going.
thank
talking
you.
about important things.
All right, enjoy your stay and enjoy Unwrap.
Nice.
Enjoy Belgium.
My first time in Belgium.
Yeah, liking
For
it?
you.
Are you liking it?
I just landed yesterday. I literally
okay.
came in from another conference straight
yeah.
to here. And then I'm flying back to LA tomorrow, so it's
Busy days.
tell me about it.
All right.
It's life.
I hope you have some time to decompress.
Yes.
All right.
Tonight.
Okay, awesome.
All right. Thanks.
All right.